away we go. It is what, the 29th? There's only 30 days in this month, so this is end of month eve, is it not? March.
One more day, I think.
Yes. Yeah, the 30th is the last day of the month.
Is it?
Which, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 30th, yeah.
Yeah, let me go through that nursery rhyme again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's good.
No, you're right, mate, you're right.
All right, let's say good day to everybody online. Hi guys, how you doing? Lovely to have you on board as always. And let's see if we can make some more money today. I'm not sure of the prospects. I've been out delivering bamboo all day and I really haven't spent much time in front of the charts, but I can tell you that I've tightened my stops up on the 4 positions that I'm in. I'll go through that a little bit later. Ash, what's happening in the wonderful world of the FTSE?
Well, I think that's wise, mate. I have to say, tightening up stops on some of those, considering that they are probably quite risk on. Certainly, some of them are kind of risk on. And the reason I say that is that I'm looking at these global markets and saying, is there a hint? Now, that's all it is. Is there just a small signal that we might be topping out? Now, let's start with the Dow, just because we're here. Now, we'll start with a monthly chart. And the monthly chart is just showing us that we have a level of potential resistance here. This was a previous low that we may be testing from below now. So this was a support line that we might be testing from below. So that's the first thing with the Dow on the monthly. Bringing it into the weekly, you can see that it's possibly got to go a little bit higher. But we're getting close. We're getting very, very close. We're within 500 points of that, which for the Dow is not that much, and it's possible that line could be just a shade lower. We're not really sure, and the reason we're not really sure is that we have seen these bars here just showing some signs of weakness. Yesterday's bar was the interesting one, though. I'm just going to blow this up a bit for the guys. Yesterday's bar was interesting, a bit of a kind of doji bar, but certainly has a shooting star look about it. So it's really today is going to be quite interesting to see what happens. It's going to be a fascinating day. We've got the Fed out later on. And I wonder whether at very minimum we sell into that particular announcement regardless. So we might see some early weakness in the market this morning. Switching over to the S&P, same thing. Another reversal bar here on the S&P, looking a bit more like a shooting star. The body's a bit more solid, but there was a pretty big sell-off right towards the end of the day yesterday. Coming onto the weekly chart, you can see the same thing. It looks to me like we might be at the previous green bar, the last green bar that we saw in the run to the downside. We're right on top of that level now. You consider here we got 2 hanging man bars before the current week, and these do tend to be bearish. Certainly, if it takes out the low of that hanging man, that is going to look extremely bearish. So hammer at the bottom of a chart. Or the bottom of a move like here, that would be a hammer. That would be a hammer because it's pushed down and found a low. But when it's right at the top, these do tend to be bearish. So they are oftentimes, not always, but they oftentimes can show some signs of weakness. Coming again onto the dailies, onto the monthly chart, then I think we can see with the S&P that's already at its potential level of test. Could be a shade higher as well, but it's very, very close. And then finally with the FTSE. The FTSE 100 is again. It showed us a couple of weeks of a little bit of indecision and uncertainty up at those particular levels. Yesterday's bar wasn't particularly conclusive one way or the other, but it has stopped at this level here, just unable to get through. Now, if we just switch quickly back to finally the Nikkei as well, I thought was quite an interesting chart this morning as well. Nikkei, similar sort of thing, where we are starting to see that the Nikkei's closed the gap now. So another one which has got the green light really to start moving in the opposite direction. So we will get to what we need to see in a moment, because what I first want to bring up is the other situation now with the Dow and the S&P. This is an hourly chart, and my eye straight away goes to this head and shoulders pattern. That looks like the neckline there, and it's quite an angled one, and if you like, it's a bit more of a bullish head and shoulders pattern than it is negative, just purely because of the angle of the upper region there. But it does exist. And there's your. Oops. Which one can I move? I think I can move that one. There's the neckline just there. Not so clear, but it is on that one as well. And Dow Jones the same. You know, we also have a head and shoulders pattern here, but this one's a lot cleaner. You look at when you look at the angle with this one, touch there, touch there, touch there, and then when we run right the way along, it does look like that might be a bit of a head and shoulders pattern up there. It's also, of course, a little trend to the upside within the higher high here, and then an equal low, and then it just showed some resistance, and we've taken that resistance out. So it is, of course, also a little trend going on within that particular pattern. But I would be more comfortable saying that if we are going to take any longs off, then we get to the neckline down there. And I wouldn't be too keen to trade it short, but it might just be giving us a small hint into what might be coming. And finally, the Nasdaq, which was the real leader yesterday, which was quite unusual. So unusual for the Nasdaq to be the weaker of the American indices, but that was what had happened. Same thing. Look at the Nasdaq. Really, it's testing where it's come from. Already showed signs of weakness on the way down once. Couldn't get through that time, and we had another punt at it yesterday and unable to get through. But this bar is significant. You know, that's an engulfing bar. So the other two were showing potential shooting stars. This one's showing an engulfing bar, and that may be more of the same. You know, showing us that there could be just a possibility of some weakness here, and not the best pattern really to be considering, because really we need this on a longer term time frame. But let's just draw it out anyway, because it does show us that there is some potential weakness in the market, and it could be a bit more significant with the Nasdaq than anything else. But we kind of have this diamond pattern forming here, which does have bearish connotations. They're never absolutely perfect, but that's we don't know where this trend line is going to come in, but it's going to look something like that. And a break to the upside, it will be negated completely, because this is a purely bearish pattern. This is one of the only patterns which is purely bearish, along with the head and shoulders. But if that does start to break down, that would maybe see us back down to these lows down here. So could be an interesting day with the markets, and as I say, considering we do have FOMC later on today, I wonder whether the market would be that comfortable continuing its rally to the upside, or at very worst we get a pause. The other thing to consider is the VIX, also, in my opinion, really forming what looks to me like an inverted head and shoulders. Now, the VIX does end up being quite a good barometer for what we might need to look for with the global equities. When the VIX is strong, global equities, the VIX is really indicating that there's volatility, and volatility, it doesn't necessarily mean that that it's going to be bearish. It just means that we get a pickup in price action and volume. And this inverted head and shoulders here is suggesting that maybe that's going to happen, and it does. Oftentimes it's called the fear indicator, because it will much more likely show us that there could be some downside to come in the stock market rather than upside. It's still got a bit of a trend line there to get through, but definitely an inverted head and shoulders going on here, a bit cleaner than the others as well, I would wager. So I'd quite like to see what happens for the rest of the day, mate. But if I see the VIX taking off and the global equities just unable to kind of make some headway, then I'm wondering whether we may well have seen our first signal that that the global equities could be just starting to weaken a little bit here, and possibly topping out. Lots to go, and lots of price action really to come before we can genuinely say that that's the case. Lots of water needs to go under the bridge, but I think we may be seeing a hint. So I'm just watching out for that, mate, as we start the trading day. FTSE 100 is pushing to the upside as we speak, but plenty of time really for this to start moving back down again. No sell signals, plenty of time to wait for that as well. So we are going to just sit on our hands for a little while, mate, just while this market unfolds until that FOMC later on. I think that's probably the best course of action right now.
Yep. Not disagreeing with that for 1 second. And I've got my radar out too for potential turnarounds. And as I said, I've tightened up my stops on all 4 of the positions that I'm still in. I'll go through that in a tick for those of you who are in those. I will let you know what I'm doing. But first up, it is the pound US dollar breakout trade. And I'll just give you the levels. You all know how this works, I'm sure. The entry level for the short is 1.2448, I think it was. Yep, that's right. So entry level for the short, 1.2448. Terrible position. Bang on the daily pivot. But as I said, we're not adding filters to this. And the stop loss for the short is 1.2501. which makes the entry for the long 1.2501 and the stop loss for the short 1.2448. Yesterday's trade was okay. There's yesterday. There's the 9 o'clock bar. So we traded the range of these 3 bars here. So there's the high of the range above there. There's the low of the range below there. Stop loss 10 pips. Let's put that in. 10 pips below the low, which was 23.93, if I'm not mistaken. There, and the entry was 15 above this one, which was at 1.2426 plus 15 is 1.2441. Is that right? Yep. 1.2441. Which is not far away from our entry short today. Okay, so that's where we got triggered into the trade. As soon as we did, you go to a 15-minute chart. And the 15-minute chart from yesterday got triggered here, okay, on this bar. And then we trailed 2 buying bars. We didn't get 2 buying bars until this one was followed by this one. So we moved our stops to there, putting us in profit straight away. And then we had a little bit of a dip, another 2 buyer bars there, stop loss up to there. Then the final one was 2 buyer bars here. So stop loss up to there. And that's where we exited as the price came down. It wasn't a bad exit as it turned out. And that was a decent trade. I think we got a bit better than 1-to-1 on that one. There's the entry. There's the stop loss. So we risked 47 pips to make 51 pips. So 1.1-to-1. Cool. That puts us into profit. I'll update that sheet.
Well done, mate. That's it's been going pretty well, isn't it? That breakout trade.
Well, it's taken. We're well in front win-loss ratio, but very unusually, we were behind in terms of profit until that trade yesterday, and it's now tipped us in front. So let's hope that continues to be the case, and we continue the win-loss ratio, but we improve the win percent, which is obviously the thing that counts most of all. If I'm trading the pound today, and if I sound tired, I probably am. Sorry, guys. I've been out and about all day bloody long. This looks a bit bullish to me because we've got higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We're waiting for the next leg of this rally, if it's to continue, obviously, to take out this high. I don't see any reason why it can't do that. We've got a weak dollar. As I said, we've got FOMC coming up overnight. Have we got anything else coming out of Britain today, mate?
No, I'll tell you, we do have GDP tomorrow as well, which might also put the market on hold. I mean, the fact that it's rallied as it has been a shade surprising, but we do have to consider the levels that we're currently at, and they are significant. You know, I think we've illustrated that the longer term timeframes are sitting at pretty strong levels. And we'll have a look at the other indices in a little while as well, just to kind of get a feel of where they sit, because also the CAC and the DAX are both at significant levels. So I think it would be surprising, really, for the markets to really push to the upside significantly today. But you never know. FOMC, as you say, we got that in another 11 hours from now. But we might see some sticky price action. It might just want to go higher and then decide to just into that particular announcement it starts to come down. So I'm watching out for it.
Of course, with the pound US dollar, you can see a significant potential for left shoulder, head, right shoulder here as well. And we're pretty much bang on that level. So I'm not that super keen.
Yeah, interesting as well. We got some manufacturing numbers from China overnight, my time, actually, 2 a.m. So around about, 26, 28 hours away or something. No, not 20 hours. We're talking about, it'll be 18 hours away. We got China manufacturing PMIs out. And then we have the Eurozone also giving a monetary policy statement tomorrow.
Yep.
So there's a lot, and unemployment claims from the United States. So there's a lot actually on the market's plate really over the next 24-hour period. But the real question, that I would have, I mean, consumer confidence yesterday was absolutely abysmal. It was a horrible number. And yet the market, woke up this morning and the Asian rally, the Asian stocks took the market higher. Decent earnings released from Alphabet. Google's Alphabet overnight yesterday after hours trading. Also, Ford put in their profits for the quarter as well, and they were absolutely horrendous. Samsung beat estimates, but did warn for the second quarter growth. So there was a bit of a mixed picture, a bit of a mixed bag, but Asian stocks still rallied, and I'm pretty sure the Indian stocks rallied as well during the last period. But just at the end of the day, it seemed that the Nasdaq did actually react, from that consumer confidence number. And it's very difficult, really, from here. I mean, Paul was asking me on Sunday, do I think that after earnings season, that's when we see the market start to weaken? And it's possibly going to be the catalyst. But I have to say, with complete honesty, I don't know. I just don't know what is going to bring this market down. I guess it will become down to a valuation story. But at what point do those PE ratios and EPS ratios just become just too expensive, from where we currently are? And I don't have the metrics for that. So, maybe it is going to be earnings season. But it could be.
Maybe it's a coronavirus, good news or bad news, either way as well. That's still
exactly
that hasn't gone away.
Yes, absolutely, mate, absolutely. And there's a lot of there's incredible, and a massive amount of confidence with some of these countries about the coronavirus. How they've got it under control. Going to get moving back to work, which I'm sure is positive rhetoric to kind of make people feel more comfortable about going back to work. But you were telling me about the New Zealand Prime Minister, was it, saying that they've got the social distancing aspect beat. I think Donald Trump is, I don't think he's at any point during this had a bad word to say about the coronavirus. He thinks it's all fantastic and not a problem at all. So, it does beg the question, at what point do facts become reality and we see the market actually react off the fact that we are getting weak numbers? I don't believe it's cheap anymore at this particular price. But I guess the other question is, where are you going to put your money? Yes, you could put it in gold, and I think you may as well. Because the one thing about gold is it doesn't pay a dividend, which is why it's not the best asset class to part your money in. You're not going to get anything back for it apart from the capital gains. But it's the same with, equities are going to be the same. A lot of companies on quite a few of these Western indices are cancelling dividend payments this year anyway. So you are only really going for capital gains right now. In some of these
property is
stocks.
going to be very bad after this ends, you would think, around the world.
Well, I wonder which properties, because definitely retail properties would be pretty awful.
Under heavy
Because
pressure.
yeah, and office space as well. I would guess that while people have found solutions to working away from their normal everyday workplace, then I would have thought office space would probably become quite cheap. I don't know about residential so much. I mean, the building work has stopped. People still need places to live. When things clear up, I would have thought there'd be a glut of properties probably put on the market potentially. But I would have thought there'd be some buyers keen.
There will, but they'll only be cashed up. The only ones who can afford to buy them will be cashed up people.
That's true. That's very true.
That's not generally the general population. So yeah,
no. But I tell you one place where there will be a boom in the property value is in warehouse space. While we've got people buying online, that would mean that warehouse space becomes incredibly attractive. So I think you're right. Almost within the property market, there is its own little sector. They have their own little sectors. Yes, and I think that if you were buying a property, equities in properties, then if you had something that actually offered warehouse space, you'd probably be okay, and it'd probably be quite a good hedge against all the others right now.
Okay, I said I'd show you my trades and update the trades. So I'm in 4 trades. Sorry, I'm now in 3. Euro Aussie's just come out because the trailing stop has been hit. So I've trialed my stop underneath this bar on a 4-hour chart, and I feel if we're going to go below there, we'll probably come to here and maybe even come back and retest there. I don't know, but the thing about this is FOMC coming up. This could be a change and a dramatic change. So I don't want to give back what I've already got. I don't think it's at the end of its rally. I've got to say, I think that's the end of the rally right there, 66.75, before a substantial retracement. But again, I don't want to give back what I've earned, and I'm happy for the retracement to come now. And if it did come now, even as a result of FOMC later on, and takes me out, then I can simply look to get back in, probably just around about the same level. So I'm okay with that. Even if I get taken out, I'm not going to be concerned, because I think there'll be another opportunity to get back to there. Just need a decent retracement. Dollar yen, I've also tightened up the stops here, just inside the bottom of that range. And importantly, above the monthly pivot and the daily pivot. So hopefully that can hang on as well and give us a little bit more ride. Pound Aussie, well, it has now broken through the bottom of my channel. So I've put my stop right bang above this bar here pretty much, or above that bar there, the one that broke clear of the range. I don't know that this can go much further without decent pullback. I think it can go further, but gee, it's at a pretty strong level as far as I can see. There's a confluence of bottom of that channel, and of course this resistance area as well. So I am expecting a retracement. You can see that we're due for one. We're really due for one. If you look at this daily chart, Pound Aussie hasn't got a white flag in sight apart from that one in the whole move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 days of selling versus 1 day of buying. That's pretty heavy stuff. And you don't see that too often. And if you don't believe me, just go back in your charts and count. You won't see that too often, I can assure you. I'm very pleased that we managed to grab hold of it, of course. And we've been in this twice. This has been a really, really good thing for us. Why? Because of that. We pointed it out. As soon as we saw that, that was a clincher for me. That's, as I said at the time, the most significant tweezer top I have seen in many, many moons. And it was pretty much bang on the right place as well, where it had been support through here and resistance. And of course, resistance through here. So I was pretty confident that we were going to see some downside. I didn't realize that it was going to be so steep, and well, steep, it's just bang, it's vertical. And so extensive so quickly. Very pleased it has, I've got to say. But I'll now be looking for a retracement. And as I say, if it takes me out, I will look to get back in pretty much where we get out. Already out of Euro Aussie. I put my stop loss here and it's just pipped me out on my other account. I don't have it on this chart, but it has just pipped me out by the hair of my chinny chin, which is probably a precursor to me as to what may happen. Of course, this could keep going, there's no question, but I am expecting at least a daily pivot test today, and maybe beyond that. We've got the Euro or the ECB statement tomorrow. If I'd really like to see a retracement, and I'd like to get another crack at this as well. But for now, as I said, I just don't want to give my money back to the market because it's been hard earned. Today, right, well, the Aussie can keep going for as long as it likes, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm still in the trade. But as I say, if it comes back, it's not the end of the world. In terms of what would I like to trade today, I'm going to have to share another chart with you. Oh, no, I'm not. There it is there. Do have an order on dollar Swissy. Where I'll give you the levels. Dollar Swissy, where are you? See somewhere? Hello? Am I missing something? Oh, there it is. Okay, that's very near to entry now. If you're interested in taking the trade, the order is this. Entry is at 97.19, so 0.9719. Stop loss is 88 pips, which puts it above this double top and the top of the range. TP1 is pretty tight at 20 pips, and I'll remove a third of the position at that point. TP2 is at 70 pips, just below 1-to-1, and I'll remove another third of the position, and then I'll leave the rest go. And if we get a little bit lucky here, we might get down to the bottom of that range, which would then give us our prize. We don't get a prize until we get down to here, really, at the end of the day. You might want to have a look at the monthly pivot as well. But we're risking, what, 88 pips, I think it was, yes, to gain 420, say, so 3.5 to 1, something like that. Oh, sorry, that's not right. What did I say? 90 to win, yeah, about 3.5 to 1, something like that. So that's the reason I'm taking that trade. Am I super keen? Not really, but because we've come off the bottom of the range here, and ordinarily, and I'll be looking for a higher low, right? I think the monthly pivot is the potential for that to happen, but we've already banked twice at that point, so happy days on that. But there is a range within the range, and that's exactly why we're looking at this one. We've come off the top. We come off the top twice. We haven't really got a significant lower high, which is what I'd prefer to have. But what we do have is a lot of shots over the bow. It's warning signals telling me, okay, back off, come back, back off, come back. And that back off period is getting just a little bit tighter. So I see that as the possibility. The actual trade scenario is approach and retrace off the resistance areas. If I was trading at the weekly pivot rather than under it, I probably wouldn't have taken the trade. But I think because we are underneath the weekly pivot and the trend line, when we get our entry, we could well be okay here. So that's the only position that I'm, or extra position that I'm in. What else have I got today? Euro dollar. It's kind of gone too fast off here. And it's done this twice now. It's gone straight up there, come straight back down. We need to hesitate in here somewhere. We need a higher low, and it's just not giving us those. That's on the 4-hour chart, of course. If you're trading during the day, you might be able to find one. Maybe that bar there would have been interesting for me. But again, I just don't trade at that time of day. So anything off DR1 here to give us a higher low is probably tradable. But if you've got a big bar, you probably don't want to be trading that. But if we can get a bit of a confluence here, maybe right down here would be okay. It's not that flash. I'm not in love with it, but I'll keep my eye on it. If it sets up, it sets up. Dollar yen in terms of today, you can see the double cross on the monthly pivot there, guys. I don't know if you guys would have picked that one up. I can't jump in there. I don't think that's really the right thing to do at the moment, given the position that I'm in. But it might have been a scaling point. It might have been. But generally, if I'm looking to scale in, I'm probably looking for resistance to break again. It really hasn't. This is support. I don't see a trade here for me now, but I am expecting retracement. I'll have a look at that, and I really see nothing here that suggests it at this point in time. It's just a little bit of consolidation there. The Aussie, well, it is due retracement, in my opinion. There's no question about that. But will it get to its target before it does? Look, I hope it does. Then I'm happy chappy. Except the Aussie I just got out of probably won't have given me as much as it could have. And I really don't see anything to stop this. We've had good news out of Australia today. The CPI figure was better than expected and better than the RBA anticipated. I think it gives us an annualized rate of 2.3% or 2.2%, something like that, which is bang on target. So that's a pretty good number. And until FOMC statement comes out, I can't see any reason why the Aussie can't go to here. So hopefully that's the case.
I'm looking at, mate, the pound yen. Pound yen for some downside looks pretty good to me.
You take me out of the majors, mate. That's what you're trying to say. Pound yen for down, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, gee, I can't make any head nor sense of this. As you know, I tried to trade it long on Monday. I think it was last Thursday, and that actually failed. But really, we've gone absolutely nowhere since. So I really don't know on this one. What are you seeing?
A few things actually. I mean, in fact, shall I take the chart? So let me check the screen. So if you flip it over to me, mate.
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay, I can do that.
I mean, there's an entry.
Shattered. You can't see my Zoom. Now I've.
Oh no, that's just worked.
You can see it now.
Yeah.
Really? I did that last night, and everyone said no.
No, it didn't work yesterday, but yeah, it's working now.
Well, I'll go to Buggery and back. Okay, now I've got to get out of this. So go that one minus, back to normal. Look at that. Geniuses.
Very good.
And stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you, mate.
All yours.
Yeah, check this out. I think there's an entry as we speak, and may have possibly talked for a little bit too long, but I quite like the look of this. 4-hour chart looks pretty good, and it looks to me like we may well have broken down a level there, depending on where you draw that line. But if you tighten the line right up to the close price here with a touch there, that looks to me like it's broken down. I think that there's an entry off the 15-minute chart here. If we flip that to here, with this little pattern having broken down there as well. Looks like we've tested that particular level, so we've got a little bit of a lower high going on. And also the hourly as well looks to me like, this is where we can tighten our lines up a little bit. Looks like we do have a level which is extrapolated through here. Looks like we tested it there. So if you bring that out to, bring it on with some pivots as well, we'd have a target down here at this monthly pivot. Would look pretty good. Let's just make sure the dailies look okay as well. Yeah, the dailies look really good on this one too. So you've got the monthly pivot for a potential target down here. Let's see where the stops would have to be. Probably above the weekly to start off a one-to-one. So let's give you guys some levels here. So make sure you get the best possible entry. Probably entry at 132.93. If it's going to come back there. Let's say 132.80. Yeah, 132.80. Actually, can I justify this now? 132.70. Let's try and take the top of that bar. 132. Yeah, let's go for 132.87. And I will do what you said to do. And write this in here, if I can do that.
Oh yeah! Wow, I didn't do that, did I? I'm a naughty boy.
So you put it in the label bit, right?
Yep.
Okay, so entry. Give me 132.87. Stop loss is going to be above the monthly, above the weekly, which I can't get now. 133.33 probably, around about there. I might tighten that up in a minute. And target's going to be down here, so looks like about 132.30. And that'd be just taking half off, so TP1 at 132.30. Blow it up, make it a banana, and then we can check these levels. So 133, that can actually be 20. Might have missed it actually, but I'll leave this up for right now.
I've been very remiss. Haven't said good morning to all you guys. Hi everybody, Lewis, Helen, Raymond, SF, John. G'day guys. Everyone who said hello. Apologies for that.
Yeah, apologies guys. We seem to went straight in it today, didn't we? I didn't have my room open. That's going to be 123. It's 26. So that looks like the levels. I mean, it looks like we may have missed this one, which would be a shame, but it looks pretty good for some downside to me. But I'll tell you what I like. You know, if you look at this on longer term time frames, I'm not sure if that's going to save here, so I'll leave it there and hope it does. When I switch myself to a, in fact, let me just make this bigger for you guys as well, so you can see it. So this is what I was looking at. Is the 1 hour chart. You don't be able to see it now because of the trend line. 1 hour chart is this trend line here. And that looks like it's broken through, coming down there. There you go. You can see it a little bit clearer there. Looks like that's broken through there. The 4 hour also looks like the same thing. Looks like it's broken through. The 15 was the one that kind of would have given us the entry. And you can see the 15's also broken down a little pattern here. So that looks pretty good. But what I like about it really is the longer term time frame on this, because if you flip this to a daily chart, then the daily chart is showing just it's kind of scruffy, but it is there, but a bit of a reversal pattern going on here with the head and shoulders just here. Left shoulder, there's the head, and it looks like we're just creating a right shoulder. So that would lead us at least down to this neckline down here. Now, Helen, it doesn't mean that that it's going to come down and all of a sudden do that. What it means that when it says it's got a 30% chance of breaking and only a 70% chance of actually of working out. When you look at your head and shoulders, you want some kind of symmetry in the level. So your left shoulder is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's call it 8 bars. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the third bar, the next bar would be down here for 8. That means really within the next 2 days, for this pattern to be clean, it's going to have to have broken down by bar. Let's say 10 or 11. But there's the pattern there. So it's going to need to have come down here. It's got 2 days really to arrive on the neckline, and then really for it to work out, it's got to break through. Otherwise, what will then start to happen is that the pattern stops being in existence. And it's not that it will break to the upside, but this could then just start to happen, and you just get another pattern going on instead of that as a head and shoulders. Yeah, just to explain that, I've got a feeling we might have missed that one, mate. That was a bit. That's a bit of a shame.
Always get a second chance, mate.
You do always get a second chance, apparently. Yeah. Let's see if that happens. Let's see if that happens with this one.
Sometimes it's 300 pips later.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
We have been triggered into dollar Swissy as well. And how's the pound? Pound, not so much, I don't think. Pound's really slow out of the blocks the last few days, eh? Doesn't get going till much later in the day. Interesting. Although I suppose it wasn't that long yesterday. Are you still there? What are you doing, Ash?
Oh, sorry, mate. I thought you were talking. I was just having a look at this. Yeah. You were just filling time, were you?
Yeah, but I've now got 30-minute bars that I can have a look at whenever you're ready.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, you go ahead.
Roger D. Okie doke. We will start with euro dollar. This is the hourly chart for euro dollar. Now, as always, we're looking for that higher low, and I said that bar may well have been it. It may well have been it, and we didn't trade it. That's the time of day for me. I just don't trade at that time of day. Now what do? Well, wait. I just simply wait until I've got something else that shows up, and that may well be that if euro dollar came down to here and gave us another opportunity at a higher low, I might take it. But for now, nothing, because really, if there was to be an entry as a higher low, then that would have been it. Look at the color of the bar, guys. What color is that bar? And what direction did you want to trade it? I'll get you guys to catch on to that one day. Dollar yen's off again. Goodness me.
Up or down?
Down.
Yeah, I think there is some nervousness today, isn't there?
Interesting. Wow, this could be a good trade as good as the others. We'll see. I can't do anything here. It's just no long, no short. If I'm brutally honest with myself, the only direction I would want to trade it today would be long. Now, to do that, I would need to see something that doesn't look like this. I'd need to see a double bottom. I'd need to see maybe a head and shoulders or a big bullish engulfing bar, something like that as the first case. And then I would need to see a higher low to back it up. So, hours away, maybe days away, who knows. Go you good thing, the Aussie. Now up to DR2 and 65.40-ish. And Lewis, I'm trying to imagine your question as well, which is, Lewis has asked me, which of the pairs that are tracking away from the daily pivot currently are most likely to come back to it? Great question, I've got to say.
It is. Yeah, it is a really good question, because that can put you in front of the market.
Absolutely, and it's kind of, it's the MO for me most days. The one thing I've got to say is, unless I see the reason for that to happen, it's very, very difficult to speculate. So I'm going to rule the Aussie out for now, because
let's see what is. I mean, the US equities look like they're traveling towards their daily pivot right now. So Dow, S&P, and Nasdaq. Yeah. So don't know if anybody's interested in trading those, but those ones certainly seem to be going in that particular direction right now.
Yep. So I've got to say the Aussie is not that. It's not the best of them. And the reason is, why should it stop now? Apart from news, I mean. Where's the level that's telling me it should stop? There's a tiny little level there where we are now. but what's the biggest level on the chart ahead? And it's got to be this one, where it's been strong resistance and strong support. So that's, I can't see this turning around from a technical point of view until we hit that level. But of course, there are other forces in play. That four-letter word, FOMC, that could upset things dramatically here. But, you know, this has got tons of time to get to that level. If it wants to do it, it's only another 120 pips away. Outside of its ATR, no question there. So, yeah, it's not a fait accompli, that's for sure. Nothing ever is. But if I'm forced to say which way this goes today, before anything fundamental comes out, it's got to be continue long. So I would rule that one out as one of the daily pivot testers. Euro dollar has already tested the daily pivot. Dollar yen's definitely a contender, in my opinion. But again, I've got to have a reason to change that, to change direction. Pound's already tested the daily pivot. Nothing to do here either. There's nothing to see, although there probably is. If we have a good look at this, we'll go through. No, we won't. We won't go through there. We'll go through here. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is a false break of this support trend line. What I'd like to see is a repeat of that up here. So this is a great area to trade this from. Is it reversing? Is this a head and shoulders? Good question. But if I were to see something like break, retest that confluence area, gee, I'm pretty keen to go short there then. That does get me interested. So pound US dollar, break the daily pivot, retest it from below and the trend line at the same time. Not going back above it, but retesting it. If it closes on it, even better still. So pound US dollar is definitely on the cards. But as far as daily pivot test, it's already happened. Dollar CAD definitely on the cards as well. But again, you know, oil is the key to anything against the CAD, in my humble opinion. What we see here is, wow, this is like the biggest false break you've ever seen. Double humper. Not one that I'd really like to jump into, although it is a break and retest of the monthly pivot and the bottom of the range. Yeah, look, it's a possibility. Let me see. Thing that's been grabbing me with this dollar CAD is that it just fails to break through here. Maybe this is it. It'll go to the daily chart. Yeah, we could be in search of a lower low here. Okay. That takes us away from the daily pivot, of course. I'm thinking short here, Lewis, so that's not a contender either for the daily pivot. Dollar Swissy, very similar, isn't it? Riding down the back of a trend line. Haven't yet got into that. The double top here has got me in search of a higher lows, a lower high. So maybe this is the one. Dollar Swissy, mate. I'd say it's a leading contender for a daily pivot test from what I'm seeing at the moment. So I'll nominate that as number one at the moment. And Kiwi, gee, I'd like to see this come back in here and give us a lower high. That gives us a trade as well, short. And that's about it for the majors, mate. So from my mind, it is dollar Swissy, the best possible.
Best of the bunch.
What about the trend line? Okay, let me have a look at the trend line. This trend line? You mean hit the trend line and bounce off it? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. All good, all good. So, you know, my trend line that I'm trading off, this one. Or is it that one? I can't remember what trend line I've got. It's probably a bit higher. That one. That's the one, we've just broken it. So the trend line backside, is that what we're talking about? That's kind of one of the reasons I'm bearish, of course. But I don't see any harm in coming back to here and giving us the lower high that we really do need to be confident about this, because it hasn't happened yet. Short on dollar Swiss will be in danger if it reverses the test. Look, danger. Yeah, look, it won't be pretty. It's never pretty to go into drawdown, but you know, I think our stops are in a pretty decent place, and I can't see a reason why dollar Swissy would rally, frankly, except that the Swissy is probably the weakest thing on the. Let's have a look at that. What's FinViz telling me? FinViz. Have I got FinViz on here? Yes, I do. FinViz is telling me that the Swissy has overtaken the dollar today. So it's a little bit stronger than the dollar. That's not the case on the, oh yeah, it is on the weekly. Well, we're only into Wednesday. But as soon as you go outside this week, you'll see that the Swissy will be the weakest on the chart, apart from the euro there. Month to date, same. Quarter. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. Okay. Okay, so the Swissy is a little bit stronger than the dollar just about everywhere. That's interesting. I wouldn't have said that. Although the dollar is currently very weak. There's no question about that. So dollar Swissy short makes sense to me. The daily pivot test makes sense to me. But what's going to turn this around? Only something fundamental, I would think. And that would be that four-letter word that we mentioned before, FOMC. That probably is the only thing I can see standing in the way of this going short. But anything can happen, of course. Oh, we've got Swissy news out. Economic expectations, you wouldn't think that'd be great.
What are they saying?
They're saying, well, they're not saying anything. What's the chart telling me? There's no forecast. Again, no forecast. But yeah. This has been negative for like a year and a half, apart from 3 months. So, you know, even a negative number, unless it's outrageous.
It's state of play right now. That's you know, even companies are just not giving forecasts of what's coming, and it's you know, the kind of all cloak and daggers stuff is really kind of taking effect. But it's, you know, the FTSE 100 is still attempting to make fresh highs today. In actual fact, it probably just about has. Not the same with the futures of the US market, but the FTSE 100 continues to ease to the upside, and it might be the case actually with the FTSE 100 session. You know, that's going to close well before that FOMC statement is due. Maybe we see a turnaround after that. I don't know, but the market still seems you know, pretty happy to buy into whatever right now. I've just really had a really good look at some of these shares. And I could literally go down the list, and you know, out of a list of 10, I'm finding I'm struggling to see any of them that really have got too much in the way of positives, except for Google and Alphabet. You know, the Alphabet shares, as I said, you know, their growth, they did grow, and they do see growth despite the virus, but they're not hiring, which is interesting as well. So you know, people will be even struggling to get into those companies to try and get jobs. But the other one that I thought was quite interesting is Fresnillo, which is a gold mining company. Are saying that you know, the production of the precious metals have fallen due to its Herradura mine in Mexico. They had low volumes in the Herradura mine in Mexico, and I don't know how that filters through. I don't know how big a player they are in the worldwide scheme of gold, but it's interesting that we might have a gold company which is actually not able to meet demand right now. And you know, we know what happens when there's a lack of supply in the market.
That's interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Even though gold doesn't look a particularly attractive trade still at this stage, I think there will be an easier trade to make in gold, but it's just not yet.
Okay, so I don't have any trades, mate, other than the ones that I've given you. Dollar Swissy, the potentials for Kiwi dollar, short dollar Swissy we know about. That was about it, I think, wasn't it? We need the euro to come back, yeah. And dollar yen's too far gone, but definitely a contender. Dollar yen and dollar Swissy for a daily pivot test. Trading that dollar yen is pretty much guesswork, though. At this point, I've got to see something that's a reversal.
All right, mate.
Yeah, so that's about me, mate. I think at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. I'm not really convinced of the best course of action when jumping on a market which is well and truly on the move and probably on the move on pretty much hot air, considering we do have numbers coming out for the next 2 days as well. So I'm watching to see if there's actually a potential reversal rather than anything else. But for right now, or maybe we get a decent enough dip to buy in again. I don't know, but one way or the other, it's just not really the environment that I think it's worth hopping on board with. Helen, I've just seen what you said about PH and the pound yen, which I completely get. Actually, that as a daily wave rider does fit the bill, and there's an opportunity on a short term time frame to maybe even secure that trade up even faster than the daily wave rider would do so. So if you manage to get onto that, that'd be great. Do I feel a barbel? What's a barbel in the FTSE 100? What's that, mate? What's a barbel? What, you mean a glitch?
And while you're answering that, Lewis, to answer your question, Lewis, very quickly, no, I don't consider that's been tested. So yes, you're spot on the money. This is also a leading contender for a daily pivot test. And yes, if it comes back in here, it's probably the trade of the day, actually, if it comes back in here and gives us that lower high.
Yeah.
Bobble, maybe? Bobble?
FTSE, a barbel, I don't know what that is. Yeah, FTSE's interesting. We're almost getting to that overextension phase with the FTSE, and a very, very difficult one to really try and jump on board with. So if you're not already long with the FTSE, there's just no point in my opinion. I think it could be getting to the overextension phase. It's still got the gap to close, so it's still got a potential for another 500 pips to the upside, and that wouldn't be completely out of the realms of possibility. I'm a little bit concerned with the movement with the S&P and the Dow in comparison to the FTSE. If that is to happen, I would suspect that they're probably going to have to go with it, unless the FTSE can actually make up that ground today without those two indices, which would be unusual but not completely unheard of. So FTSE continues to drive its way up, and there doesn't appear to be anything on the horizon that is going to bring it down. I've just again looked at the headlines, and I don't see anything that would suggest too much upside with the FTSE. Now Next, which is a retail share, worse than planned, as their sales are sinking. AstraZeneca, which is one of the standout stocks, really. AstraZeneca is a drug maker. Now, they did say that their profit did increase quite sharply in the first quarter of the year, and that's no major surprise. So I suppose a lot of these are doing what was fairly obvious. Now, the other thing that I'm also considering is what happens on Friday, because I think we got a public holiday here on Friday. But I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they moved the bank holiday because of celebration of. I think it was a VE Day celebration or something. So we might well buy right up into Friday, but certainly going into May, I wonder whether we might actually not see the turnaround until the new month starts.
Until Monday, you think? May happens on Monday, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes, it could happen on Monday. Yeah, that's could be what we're looking at really for a turnaround in this market. So. Yeah, well, just be careful. I think if you're looking, it's too early to go short anyway. And if you're looking at the long, then you're gonna have to shift your stops pretty fast, in my opinion, if you're going to get into this market now. It is a freight train, and it is on the move.
Oh, freight train going so fast. Dollar CAD ABC pattern. Yeah, I did speak about it, Fad, didn't I? It's legit. It's genuine. It's a false break, massive false break of the channel. The reason I'm not taking it is because important security alert from who gives a crap. I've got to read that. Reason I didn't take it, superstition and experience on top of that, bad experience. If I trade when the market has already or is already at my my entry level, it tends to go against me. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I don't really want to, well, it's actually not that reason alone. There is another reason. And that's it there. This level here. Been resistance, been strong support here. So there's a second reason. And the third reason, if you like, is the big double pump. I don't know what that's about, to be fair. You know, if it really wanted to come down, it's had plenty, although I can make an argument for it, but I can also make an argument for the support level. Mate, I think if you see the trade and you like it, take it, for goodness sake. Yeah. ABC is definitely there. Definitely there. Where are you going to put your stop? That's the trickiest part of this one, I think. If you use the traditional method and put your stop just above the candle, I think you're susceptible to a monthly pivot retest. If you put it a little bit above, I think that's probably a far better place. So look, not against the trade in any way, shape or form. It's just a superstition thing for me. And I know that doesn't help. It's not a technical reason or anything like that. But you'll tend to find that I don't always use what's in front of me. I also use what's behind me, and what's behind me can really save me money in the long run. And I think, you know, Ash, I think that's probably the first realization I ever had when I started to make money properly in trading was I know how not to win, how not to lose. And once you know how not to lose,
yeah,
you can really improve your trading. And this is one of that. This is exactly one of those times. And if it goes to, you know, 120, I don't care. Fed, it doesn't matter to me, because there'll be another one.
Yeah,
there's three more ready today.
That is actually the key, you know, to trading. And you know, if you kind of, you know, want to know any of the secrets to it, it is figuring out how to protect rather than how to attack. You know, we could have got into that pound yen trade while it was on the move, but you know, I think experience tells you that over time, those ones just don't end up delivering in the long term, and you're much better off waiting for the level that you picked. You know, you've done your analysis as long as you're prepared, and that was the problem with that one. We just kind of brought it up and bang, you know, it's already on the move. But as long as you're prepared, then you just got to get yourself in the right place to make sure that you follow through the preparation that you've made. But that's exactly it. You know, that's the way to protect your income is to make sure that you are safety first. You know, defense. I guess, you know, all good Premier League teams have always been built on a solid defense, mate. That's the way I would look at it.
All sporting teams that are playing ball games are exactly the same.
Yeah, and then know when to attack.
If you're getting plenty of goals scored against you, you're in trouble straight away.
Somebody just bought his PL. PL, was it PL? Was it LT? Yeah, LT was saying about tension between Australia and China. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were talking about. Were Australia asking for a probe into the breakout of the coronavirus, and China were kind of spitting feathers about it. They weren't too happy about that, right? It's
yeah, there's been a bit of bristling going on. That's very true. I think, and this was probably weeks ago. Has it raised its head again? Has it? I'm not aware of it.
And yeah, I think it has.
We've got ships in the South China Sea at the moment, but where there's US, there's Oz. There's no question about that.
Yeah, well, I think obviously Australia have got a lot more to lose with a conflict like that because of the trading aspect of it. And I think they were talking about maybe not buying certain goods from Australia. I mean, I only heard it very, very briefly, but I think it was.
Oh, I better take note of that. That could make a massive difference to the Aussie.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. And I wonder whether that might be, possibly. I mean, it hasn't really moved the Aussie negatively yet, has it? But if that was to flare up, then I would suspect that the Australian dollar would certainly feel the brunt of that.
Oh, so and quickly and sharply. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely suggest being on top of that, something like that.
China is a big bully, but we got to get used to it, LT, because I don't fear, fear is a bad word. I suspect that somewhere down the track will be #1 economy in the world and making lots of difference to what we're seeing on an economic scale. That's my little window into the future.
Yeah, we're talking about China.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
I said that 10 years ago as well, and it hasn't happened yet. But
well, I mean, it's got pretty close, mate. I mean, I'm sure if you kind of delved into the numbers, you may well find that that's already happened. I don't know, but what is interesting is while Donald Trump's in charge, he will do everything in his power to stop that happening. So whoever the next president is, if it does become Biden, then it'll probably be during his watch that was to happen. But if Donald Trump gets another term, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some pretty healthy spats between China and the United States as they do close the gap there.
I don't know if you're the only one, Raymond, and there's no point answering if you've lost audio. The Talks Australia is lobbying other countries to put a blame and claim China on coronavirus spread. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well.
Yep, that too. True story. Yeah.
It is an interesting one, isn't it? You know, what are the repercussions of this when it comes down to it? Because normally speaking, when a disaster of any type happens, then there's some kind of investigation and if people have been comparing it to the war for I don't know how long, every war that's happened, there's been reparations after the aggressor has been defeated. So that has to be an unfolding story at some point. I would have thought
definitely.
When they get on top of it, and I wonder whether oh my god, they're going at it earlier than I thought they would. I thought they might want to get this thing under control before they take anything on like that. But while we're talking about China becoming the biggest economy, it's this kind of thing that could potentially stop that happening if Trump and the United States can rally enough support against China, then maybe that's going to be the new attack, the new way to take on China. But I think you made the point before. When it comes down to it, people are going to buy goods from China because they're cheap.
Yep.
So if you're gonna continue growth in your own country, then you buy goods from the cheapest place that manufacture them, and that's China right now.
But it's the biggest card you've got to play in a war with China is just don't buy this stuff. Forget weapons and all that sort of stuff. That's the biggest weapon you've got. Whether the people of the world or those who make decisions around the world have got the good sense to realize that rather than firing missiles at them is yet to be seen. I think Trump knows that. Very unlikely. You think?
I think Trump. I think Trump realizes it, which is probably where the whole trade war thing has happened. But if he needed an opportunity to rally the rest of the world, to try and do the same thing, I think he's now been given it. I think he could actually, or the United States certainly could ramp up some huge suspicion against China. It's already going on. Whether the American government's got anything to do with it, I don't know. But social media is really awash with conspiracy theories about where this thing came from and who created it and why. And the stuff I see and read is firmly pointing the finger at China as a planned planned virus, hitting the rest of the world. So enough people starting believing that, and in this country we've had the 4G masts being pulled down, 5G masts, sorry, being pulled down because they believe it's got something to do with the coronavirus in China. So it's certainly bubbling. The people of the world are certainly suspicious of China's activity, and whether that filters through to governments and they actually take action. I mean, the UK government's talking about maybe banning Huawei as well right now. Then I don't know, but this is going to be an unfolding story, I think, over the next 12 months, and maybe the next big interesting thing that we see moving.
Have you got? I'll see if I can bring it up. Speaking of ships all over, strategically placed all over the place at the moment. A lot of them are full of oil, and Lloyd posted something in Telegram yesterday. I'll see if I can share it. It's amazing. Amazing. Let me see if I can find it. The thing with Telegram is we've got that many groups.
Yeah.
I've got no idea which one it was in. It might have been in the trading one, trading chat. Yeah, it was. Okay. I don't know if I can copy this. Copy image. Yeah, I can. Can I paste it anywhere? No. Okay. I'll bring this across. Probably get into trouble for this, but never mind. SH1T happens. There you go. Have a look at that. You can see that, I hope.
Just about. If you could blow it up a little bit, that'd be great.
Ooh. Okay.
Use your new tool.
Will that work on this one as well? Oh, I think it already did work on that one. Let me see. Oh, no, there we go. Did you read the text?
Yes, full of capacity, and there's no one to buy. Oh, hello. Is that...
I don't know. I'm not going back there, though.
That's Saturday night's get up. All today is worth zero. It costs about 30,000 a day to keep them in these conditions. Onshore stores are also at full capacity. There's no one to buy the oil today on the surface of the ocean. Also full. Oh, but unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Wow, put a match out there, mate. See some fireworks.
Yeah, you absolutely would, wouldn't you? I mean, it's just a catalogue of things, isn't it? It's a catalogue of things. If somebody told you all the things that were going on, and if an alien comes down from wherever, planet Zod, and you told him everything that was going on, and you keep showing him all this stuff, and you say, "What do you reckon's happened to the stock market?" I'm sure their answer wouldn't be what's going on. It's probably like, yeah, must be on his knees. Nah.
You can have some of these yes, it's true. Yeah. Okay. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think whoever posted that a little bit back is spot on. Crystal, wow, good observation. If we go to war, we'll see oil rally, one would suspect, because they do use a lot of oil in war times.
I don't think we'd be going to war. I mean, geez, they've got nukes that would just wipe out.
Want to, do we?
No, I can't see it, mate. Honestly, I think they will do everything in their power to stop going into military action. I mean, I don't know. Who knows if China's irked enough by some of the things that are put on them, any rhetoric or any sanctions, then they are certainly well placed strategically for a conflict. But I don't know. War is going to be fought very, very differently in this day and age, and I think it's probably goodbye, isn't it? Probably goodbye to the human race if we do actually get a war now.
Yeah, she's going to get drafted.
I doubt it. I don't think they want me in there, Crystal.
They certainly don't want me in there.
No, certainly not after this. The coronavirus has happened. I've been eating probably more biscuits than Tesco's have got the chance to stock up with. So I'm so out of shape. They definitely wouldn't want to. I'd already be a casualty even before I've entered the battlefield. So yeah, I don't think I'd be there.
Who's Ronnie O'Sullivan, Crystal?
He's a snooker player. Oh, mate, he's the best snooker player to have lived.
Is he?
Yeah, he's amazing.
No, Eddie Charlton, Horace Lindrum.
He's a grandfather. Goodness me, he's only about 45 or something. No, mate, honestly, you want to watch Ronnie O'Sullivan. The Rockets. He's the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan. Fastest ever 147 in history. Even faster than Higgity Higgins. And who was the other guy who was pretty quick? Jimmy White. But the difference with this guy is that he's won stuff and he's won loads, but he's so quick. Down, bang, down, bang. Yeah, watch. just have a look on YouTube. The quickest 147 in history, right. and you know he'll come up. But he's a swift old player.
There you go.
Only thing that makes snooker interesting, to be fair, I find snooker quite a boring sport to watch. But you know, if he was playing, it would usually keep my interest.
All right, mate. Are we done? I think we're done.
We're done. Yeah. All this snooker chat, I think it's probably suggests we are done.
Yeah, probably. Now, what have I got here? Hang on. Now I can't get rid of anything. That's dollar Swissy. I know that because I recognise the chart.
How's this Zoom working out for you?
Yeah, going great. Awesome.
I have to say I didn't like it. I had to use the other magnifier.
All right. So we're into dollar Swissy. We're into the pound. The pound's been triggered as well. Let me go back to there. So we should be trailing on a 15-minute chart, and we're just being on entry. We've got to get through that trend line, guys. Otherwise, this one's probably in a bit of bother. We shall see. But there we go. Whilst there's profit, there's hope. So let's look forward to that. Now, US dollar, Kiwi dollar, the one I'm looking at very, very closely, as I am on It's probably the best one. Euro's got to come back. Yeah, I'll stick with that as my best one for the day. If it does pan out under, lower high, bang, short. Right, mate. Let's do US session in about 4 hours and 46 minutes. And I don't know how many seconds. I haven't got a second counter up.
That'll do me, mate. Grand on that. I will see you in the US session. To everyone else, we'll see you same trade time, same channel for the last session of the week. I believe it will be. Have a good rest of the afternoon. See some of you in the US session. For the rest of you, keep safe, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 5 to 8.
That's the date. Don't be late, but I've got to answer this question. When can I put the pound BO? What's BO?
Breakout.
Oh, okay. An official one. I've got one more version of it to go, Lewis. So there's probably going to be, I think we're up to month 2 in this one now. No, maybe not. I'll go back and have a look at this one. Haven't done yesterday. So when did we start? We only started in April. So we're not even 1 month in yet. And this is a 3-month exercise. So we're a while away yet, I'm afraid.
Yeah, just you know, on that as well, Jeff saying about a 3-month exercise. Anything you're testing out, you want at least 1 quarter to pass before you kind of put it into anything concrete and say, you know, I think I've got a strategy here. You know, for a strategy to really work, it will need or to really be tested, it really will need a whole calendar year, because it'll have to go through all the different seasons. But 1 quarter is sufficient. So 1 month just isn't enough.
Yep, happy days. And thank you, Brian. I love it. Bye-bye for now to you as well. See you guys.